In this video, I want to take a few moments to talk about global modules and how they're going to relate to a project like Boilerplate, which has its own set of local dependencies. We're actually going to end up uninstalling all of our global modules and adding them in as local dependencies. Let's talk about why. A couple of videos ago, I mentioned that node modules isn't a folder we need to keep around or keep track of. I can always delete it, and I can reinstall it by running npm install, which installs all of the dependencies listed in package.json. This is really nice because I could zip up the Boilerplate project folder without node modules, and I could share it with a friend. I could give them a template to start building their next web app from. The only problem is that when that friend runs npm install, they're not going to have everything they need to actually work with the code, because they don't have Babel CLI, which the project depends on, and they don't have live server, which is what we're using to serve up our application. So what we want to do is add both of those as local dependencies. So when we install our project's dependencies, they come along for the ride as well. Let's get started by running two commands from the terminal. We're going to run one command to uninstall both live server and Babel CLI. We'll run another to install them both as local modules. Then we'll talk about the implications of doing that. I'm going to use Control-C to shut down live server, then npm uninstall to uninstall the modules. I can uninstall local modules with npm uninstall. I can uninstall global ones by adding on the G flag, like we do with the install command. From here, we can just list out, separated by spaces, all of the modules we want to uninstall. So with one command, I can uninstall Babel CLI, and I can uninstall live server. If we go ahead and run this, it is going to uninstall both modules, then we're going to reinstall both of them locally. So right here, npm install, no G flag, we don't want to install them globally. We're going to install first Babel CLI at 6.26.0, then after a space, we can provide the other module we want to install. This is live-server at version 1.2.0. Perfect. Now we can run this command to install them both locally. Now the implications of doing this are that we no longer have access to either live server or Babel from the command line, something that we're currently relying on for live server. So right here, if I cycle through my previous commands and go back to live server running the public folder, this command no longer works because live server is no longer installed. But let's go ahead and take a look at our other command. If I shut down the other command and then restart it, what happens? It seems to work. It seems to be waiting for us to make a change, and that's true. So why is live server failing while our other command is working? That is because our other command is running from a script. When we run commands from our scripts in package.json, we get access to all of the dependencies as if they were installed globally. So I can still access Babel from inside of the build script. Now, if I was to try to run Babel from the terminal like we did earlier in the course before we added it as a script, that would indeed fail. So over here, for example, Babel --help, this fails just like live server failed. Now, what does this mean for us? Well, it means that we don't have to change this script at all. The build script currently gets the job done. All we have to do is add on another one for live server. So right here, I can create another script. I can call this one something like serve. I can then set it up to just run live-server, serving up that public folder. Now we have another script for serving. It uses live server and it uses the local dependency. Over here inside of the terminal, we can now run that script. That's npm run serve. This is going to use the locally installed version of live server. We can see the server is up and running, and I can refresh things in the background, and we can see the page is indeed still live. Our changes are going to be taken into effect because we have Babel running in the other tab as well. Using local modules in this way makes life just a little bit easier. All of the dependencies for our project live in package.json, and you can run npm install to install all of them. All right, that is it for this video. In the next one, we're going to continue on and we're going to start learning about a brand new tool called Webpack. I am super excited to get to that part of this section, so let's go ahead and jump right in.